And now what we're going to do is we're going to work on this word problem. The word problem has asked us to essentially take a quadratic equation that doesn't use x or y, but instead uses h and t. So here it is. A ball is hit into the air. The height of the ball after t seconds after it is hit is modeled by the equation h is equal to negative 5t squared plus 30t plus 1. Now if you think about it, we've done this before, right? Instead of h and t, we used x and y. In order to find the maximum or minimum, we need to use the vertex form. Anytime it says we need the max or the min of something, this means that we must use vertex form. You'll see why I have this box here calculated in a second. It obviously means that we're doing something that might involve completing the square of this equation right here. So first of all, we'll start by writing out said equation. So we get negative 5t squared plus 30t plus 1. The very next thing that we're going to do is we're going to calculate. We're going to start by doing our standard, put all the stuff that is squared and linear in a bracket. So we would do what we normally do in that case. So now, after that, we basically figure out what was going on next by actually factoring out the negative 5. Now, this is something that a lot of students tend to forget. If there's a negative 5 or a number sitting on the t squared term, you want to pull that out. So we're going to common factor it out of the bracket. So negative 5 divided by negative 5 gives us a 1t squared. And then positive 30 gives us negative 6 in that bracket. Now because of that, we're going to go over and do our calculations to find out what we're going to add and subtract inside that bracket. Now, we found our number to be 9, and now what we're going to do is we're simply going to substitute it directly into the bracket, just like we used to do before for our completing the square. So we get t squared minus 60 plus 9 minus 9. Now remember, the minus 9 doesn't stay in the bracket. We got to take it out, and when we take it out, you notice that negative 5 in front. We're going to take the negative 9 and the negative 5 and we're going to multiply them together to get the result of the next line. By pulling out the negative 9, we're left with t squared minus 6t plus 9 inside the bracket. But then when we pull out the 9 and the negative 9 and multiply it by the positive 5, we get positive 5 on the outside of our bracket. And then we add 1 to it. Now, we get to our second last line. So now we have found that our equation is h squared equals t minus 3 squared plus 46. So that means that our vertex for this calculation is 346. Now remember, the x values or the t values in this thing refer to time, and this portion represents the height, h. Now, remember, when we were doing our calculations beforehand, we always took a look at this thing. This value here represents the a value for our parabola. In this case, again, a is equal to negative 5. That means that this is a sad parabola, which means it looks like this. If I took 346, I got a point somewhere in that quadrant. And because it's a sad parabola, it opens down. So in this case, we would say that the maximum, the max height of 46 happens when the time is 3. It's 3 seconds. Now, that is all we're doing. Just remember what h and t represent. H represents the height and t represents the time. Because the 46 is outside of the bracket, it's referring to the h. Because the t is inside the bracket, it's referring to the x, which means it's time. And that's it. And here is your homework for the day. It's page 30, number 1, 2, 5, and 6. You'll find it on the back side of your worksheet for the day. Good luck, kids. Have a good day.